This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
All right, good evening everyone. Welcome to the Board of Public Works meeting. I'd like to make a motion to open this evening's meeting for September 21st, 2022.
Second.
Thomas Fallsbury?
Yes.
David Packard?
Yes.
Steve Whitman? All
Yes.
in favor, motion carries.
All right, so we have our first item on this evening's agenda is public speak. If anyone would like to speak for something not on the agenda, now is the time. Item number 2, we are not expecting the mayor this evening. All right, item number 3, approval of the September 7th, 2022 meeting minutes. Did everybody get to take a look at the minutes as prepared?
Yes.
Any issues with as they are prepared? Reflective of our last meeting?
Yeah.
Very good. I'll make a motion to approve the September 7th meeting minutes.
Second.
Thomas Fallsbury?
Yes.
David Packard?
Yes.
Steve Whitman?
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries. Now we can sign one.
Fine, need to sign one?
Yes.
You can go first. There's some... All right, for item number 4, while we're taking care of that, Greg has placed water sewer liens for the period of 7/1/21 through 6/30/22 on the agenda.
Yep. So we've had to place $101,520.42 in water liens onto 367 accounts and $151,335.72 on a total of 366 accounts for a grand total of $252,856.14 in water and sewer bills that
That's the
are
21st.
sent to lien for non-payment
Okay.
every year as of 1st of September. So it's did you guys get it? Did you
Yeah,
get
they
it?
all.
Yeah. I'm looking at it.
Just to make the board aware, that's
Yep.
every year.
Is that a normal amount?
Yeah, I don't think it's egregiously different from
Yeah.
years past. You know,
It's kind of a rolling number, right, as
Yeah.
it gets
Thank you.
remitted.
Mm-hmm.
Is this more the public or commercial accounts?
it's mostly public, mostly residential.
Residential.
That we end up
Yeah.
needing, yeah. It's just the process we follow.
Yeah, you place the liens and then they
Yeah.
get resolved at some point. For-
Usually when the property transfers or someone wants to come in and pay them off.
It's not an accruing amount that, year to year, there's ebb and flow from what I've seen.
Yes, and it's our only recourse to collect on unpaid water and sewer bills.
All right, so, as well as anyone have any questions or more discussion on that point? All right, nothing for us to do, it's more a notification.
Yeah, just
to the board.
notification, that's it. Yeah, it's
All
all
right.
handled. The collector's office basically handles it. We just sign off on them and
Mm-hmm.
provide notification to the out-of-town people that we have to meet. So there's some residences in Southampton that service that are run this. So.
Okay, good to know. All right, item number 5 is our continued discussion of the tie bond rate information provided. Have any additional information we want to discuss, or we have our plan moving forward for our series of workshops and eventual public hearing?
I think we have a plan
Yeah.
to go forward myself. Yeah. Yeah.
And what is the status? Were we going to reach out to Time Bond to look for like a condensed presentation to work in our workshops? Or
Well, what I thought was that tonight would be kind of our
preliminary? Yeah.
like a first step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of wrestling with how to best handle it. Figured I'd get into, I can sit and talk to the public all day about the problems with our infrastructure and what's out there that needs to be funded and repaired.
Mhm.
But I feel like if we try to get people to have a better understanding of what it actually takes to make this city operate the water and sewer infrastructure that's out there,
Mhm.
that it gives them the background knowledge that they need to really develop an understanding of why we need
Yes.
to make such investments and how large the infrastructure is. I mean, you could probably ask 9 out of 10 people that live in town where our wastewater flow goes from the wastewater treatment plant, and I bet no one knows it runs along the bike path all the way to Route 5 in Northampton and dumps into the Connecticut River, that far away from the plant.
Right.
So what I thought I would do is I'd start with the water system and just kind of give a brief presentation for the public, hoping some members would, thank you for coming tonight, hoping some people would be here. And just to kind of give an overview of, you know, where our water comes from, how we treat it, where we store it, and what it takes to supply it to people. It's not just you walk up to your tap and it comes out. So
No, it's wonderful.
that was kind of how I thought tonight would go over the water department and how the water system and how it operates, and then in the next meeting, the wastewater system and sewer collection system. Just because if I try to do it all in one night, we'll be here till 9 o'clock tonight. Not anybody wants to be here that long.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
but we could be here for a while. So, and even on the water side, I mean, I could talk about it for hours, but we kind of put this brief presentation together just to kind of go over, you know, what we have and where it is. But we have that as a separate item on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
So as item 7.
Okay.
So
Yep.
need to close out item 5. I'll do my report, and then we go to 7.
Yeah,
Is that-
that'll be great. Yeah, I see that. All right, so if we have no discussion on our rate setting and the information provided by Ty and Bond and what we've worked up internally over the last couple of meetings, I'll close out number 5, and as Greg said, we can...
I don't have anything additional.
Okay, all right.
I don't have a ton in, so
So we'll move on to item number 6, Director's Report.
I don't have a ton for you guys tonight.
Quiet
but
week's a good week for you guys, right?
What's that?
I said, you're welcome to a quiet week.
Yeah, I know, right?
In the department.
Union Street, Union Street construction, I'll carry that as an item on my report throughout
Yeah,
the project,
I
just
think
to
that's
keep you guys in the loop. I don't have much of a schedule update at this point. I have been working with Ludlow Construction to establish some construction staging areas at a few different spots in town. Union Street, just with its location downtown, is somewhat challenging to find them a large enough area to stage materials, pipe, gravel, sand, everything they need to do a project of that scale. So we've carved out a section of property for them at the highway department for them to use. Kind of crossing our fingers that we don't have a huge winter and need to store a ton of snow down there, but got them kind of set up in the corner. Showed them where they could set up. We're carving out a section for them at the behind the wastewater treatment plant where the sewer division operates out of. Managed to find like a 100 by 200 foot area down there for them to store some aggregates and things of that nature. And we're working with Eversource. Eversource owns a piece of property between Mechanic Street and Liberty Street. It's fairly hilly, but there is some area at the top that they may be able to use for equipment storage or pipe for that, you know, that week's work. So we're working with them, helping. I just kind of coordinate the conversation between Ludlow Construction and Eversource to make that happen. We're also looking at a portion of the Center Street School playground parking lot area, with that being closed. We certainly don't want to affect usage of the playground, but we may be able to relocate some fence there. But Ludlow would do all that work to be able to stage some there while the school's closed. So it's kind of advantageous that school's right there and closed at this.
Yeah, in proximity to the work zone.
Yeah, just unfortunately doesn't have a very big parking lot, Center School.
Right.
Yeah, of course, of all the ones.
But it's right there, so it could be advantageous for Ludlow. So hopefully I'll have more information at the next meeting, but I really, again, don't expect much to happen this year. I think most of the work we'll see get rolling in the spring. As far as Cherry Street's concerned, construction over there is moving along fairly well. We've worked with the property owners at 67 Cherry Street and installed a temporary fence along the outline of our sewer easement across their property. I do need to take a second to just thank them for being accommodating, the Russell family at 67 Cherry Street, for being accommodating to us, really disrupting their yard and working our way through and across their property. So primarily through, most of the work that happens across will be cured in place lining of the sewer line. We don't need to do any digging to do kind of wood, but so thank you to them for working with us and allowing that work to happen. Our Holyoke Street paving and pedestrian safety project should be out to bid. I think I mentioned in my last report by the end of the month, so that's still moving along on schedule. We get to work with VHB a little bit to tie the design work they did and the design work that our internal engineering staff did into one bid package. So that's moving along. I hope to get that out soon and get that going in the spring. One thing I did want to update the board on, I've been working on some citywide traffic safety efforts with the planning department and City Council and Public Safety Committee. In the coming weeks, we'll be hopefully getting a traffic study underway to look at the traffic count and better understanding of the volume on Main and South Street now that Mountain View School is open and at full capacity. There's been a lot of discussion in the community about making that intersection safer, and what we were waiting for. Counts that were taken in 2017 didn't warrant a light being installed at that intersection. We've kind of been over a lot of this, but so now that the school's open, we're thinking the counts may be different with that many people going there every morning. We'll see if we can get some data and see what maybe warranted now. Another thing we've been discussing is purchasing 3 to 4 LED radar speed signs that provide feedback to motorists if they're driving too fast. Flash red, say slow down. If you're going fast, so you can get ones with a smiley face that comes up. So we're looking to purchase a few of those for around town. Working on getting those funded. Been discussing some locations. They'll actually provide feedback. They'll send data to the cloud so we can actually see in real time what's going on any street on any given day, on wherever we deploy them on any street. So hope to get that funded as soon as once free cash is certified.
The one on Park Street picks me up when I'm walking by.
Does it really? Yeah.
The one by Wilson, right
Just tell you
before
to slow
the
down.
bridge.
I think the one at the base of Mount Tom has been out for a bit.
Is it out? Okay, I'll talk to the police department about that. The ones that are out there now.
The last week or so, I've noticed it either off or non-functional.
Yeah, those are all, the ones we have now are managed by either Williston or the police department. The two you see moved around, those are the PDs. So the new ones will have, DPW will have more of an active role in managing and seeing the data.
No, that's wonderful.
So,
Good.
building operations quickly, we've posted for a second full-time custodian. The mayor was willing to fund in this year's budget, and so we have some interviews scheduled for next week. I was surprised we didn't get a handful of applicants for that. The person will be helping with some groundskeeping stuff here and the safety complex, the council on aging. So as the buildings get older and more use, they're also would be helpful to have another set of hands as we deal with the 3 vacant schools.
Right.
Because I think we'll be dealing with those for the next year or so, at least. So. And as the Honeywell project progresses, it's been somewhat of a challenge with Ryan. We have one building custodian now that's handling all the cleaning and groundskeeping for this building and 50 Payson, 30 and the safety complex. And with contractors constantly looking for access to different parts of the building as the Honeywell work moves on, it's been a bit of a challenge for him to keep up with all of it. So it'd be good to have that other person on board, hopefully by the middle of October.
Just a quick question on the vacant schools, or just going back, could that be used as a laydown area when you're doing work on Union Street?
Well, Maple Street School, possibly, but then we're dealing with they could be affecting Cottage Street traffic and the businesses there more than it's possible. I hope and Ludlow can work with the areas that we've showed them.
Okay, thank
but storing pipe down there or something, yeah, absolutely. There's definitely there's more real estate there than there is at the center. Just, we're going to cause enough headache for the Cottage Street, the whole business corridor through Union and Cottage with the construction. Avoid causing any more if we can.
Thank you.
And the highway department, we've started preparations for upcoming winter season. Managed to order some salt at last year's pricing to save some money. The prices were significantly higher for this year, so we were able to get one more order in to take advantage of
On your existing contract?
Yes. Yeah. So that's coming. And just to keep you guys updated, we did get some funding appropriated to replace the F-550 dump truck the Highway Division has last year. Ford has still not accepted the order for that truck and won't accept it. They keep telling me a couple more weeks, the order banks will open back up because of the supply chain issues. So we've started looking at other options to see if we can find something on the ground somewhere that's ready to go. So, because even if we ordered the truck in 2 weeks, if they say that we actually can, it's probably 8 or 10 months out. So we won't have it for this winter, which we kind of didn't think we would anyway. We think we can move the truck we have along one more year, but I'd like to get something coming.
Sooner the better.
Yeah. I don't want to end up having major problems with a truck that we're getting rid of and we have to
invest. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but that's basically it for director's report for tonight. So.
All right. Thank you for that information. As always, it's great to see how much we're getting done every 2 weeks. It's amazing what gets done.
Yeah, there's no shortage of things going on around town, that's for sure.
Yeah.
With that, I'll move on to item number 7, our public rate study workshop presentation that Greg's going to present with us, for us, I should say.
Yep, so like I mentioned earlier, I thought I'd start with some education for the public on what is out there for infrastructure that supplies our water and sewer to the city every day. So I'll kind of get what I have here. Hopefully the camera's picking it up, kind of see it, but I suppose we put it with the minutes, right, Michelle?
Yep.
It's just basically just slides that I'll speak to as I go through them. So, what you have in the background there is the Hendrick Street well field, where we pull, say, probably about half of the city's water from there, and we treat it at the Hendrick Street Water Treatment Facility. That's the water department's base of operations there at 109 Hendrick Street. So, I'll get into some more of it here. So we've got sources located at various spots throughout the city, where we have the Hendrick Street well fields here at the base of Mount Tom, 109 Hendrick Street. We've got the well at Nonotuck Park, where we pull about, and it's kind of a mix of where we pull. It's hard for me to put exact quantities to where we're pulling water from on any given day, but say about 50 to 70% comes from Nonotuck, 30 to 50 comes from the Hendrick Street well field. We take a small amount from Brook Street well, and we float 2 tanks. So we have the Peaceful Valley tank here on Bird Road that actually basically sets the hydraulic gradient for the public water system. We operate that tank between 48 and 52 feet. Kicks on the pumps at the Hendrick Street pump station. They pull water from the well field that I showed in the previous picture. I'll have another picture of that in a second. But, they pull water out of the well field. We treat it to remove. It goes through an aeration tower to remove the VOC contamination from years ago. Even though our levels are extremely low, really don't. Testing has shown that we don't really need to treat there anymore. But the state's never going to let us stop, so we still aerate the water there, and then hit it with a little chlorine gas and just for disinfection. We also have, so at the Peaceful Valley tank, we have 2 million gallons of water in storage, basically at any given time. And on the Drury Lane tank out on the end of Loudville Road, we keep 4 million gallons of water in storage. The level of that tank stays pretty stagnant. We have some investments to make to get that tank swinging in the way that it should. You want to operate the tank, 4 to 6 foot swing, daily, and that really sits a lot more stagnant than we'd like it to. And then we have the Maloney well here off of Lovefield Street that is no longer in service. It has a high iron and manganese content, but we're able to supply more than enough water for the city with 3 sources that we have online. The Maloney well, we could put that online. We keep it tested. It could be used. We just we don't need it. We don't need it, and it'll cost a lot of money to build the treatment system there, remove the iron and manganese to get it low enough. It's just kind of some of the different styles of fire hydrants we have around town, like that. So when we have a broken one, the guys will set it at the water department. It's just a little kind of a conversation piece when people arrive at the water department and talk about the different styles. So everybody thinks they're all the same, but parts from this Chapman hydrant won't work on that Kennedy, and parts from this Smith won't work on this Holyoke. And it's
just generational.
Yeah, there's a lot to them.
The dogs must like to stop there.
So this is a better view of the Hendrick Street well field. So we've got about 132 2.5-inch heads that are plumbed into a header pipe that comes into the low lift pump station here, and that sends water up through the plant to be treated, and then it is aerated, disinfected, and pushed out into the city. So some of those wells are as old as 19. We have pictures from like the 1920s of them being installed, and some of them are as old as 1908. We're still relying on them.
That's a fairly shallow well field.
Yeah. We have trouble with them once in a while. One will break, or
Oh yeah.
Our staff's done a great job lately of keeping it mowed and maintained. We got a lot to reclaim there, and it gets pretty wet in there, so we wait for it to have a little bit of a freeze. Like I think this picture was taken like late November.
Right.
And then we're able to get in there and mow it and keep it maintained. So this is the interior view of the low lift pump station. We have 3 pumps in there that operate in alternation. One comes on. The next time the pump station is called for, the next pump comes on, and so on and so on, and then in rotation through as the station is needed. You can see they do a great job down there keeping everything painted and clean, and really trying to get the life expectancy out of the infrastructure we have. This is the Hines well, another source from over at Hendrick Street that we pull Only on a very, very high demand day will the Pines Well kick on if the low lift pump station isn't able to keep up with what we need. If we can't maintain the proper clear well level at Hendrick Street, the Pines Well will kick in and give it another pump to supplement.
What's the approximate age of the Pine Street well?
Pines Well was redeveloped in the mid-1990s, I want to say 1996, I
Okay.
think, and that building was put over it. Could have been right around 2000. Right around 2000 was rehabbed in the new building installed. So this is the airstripping tower at Hendrick Street. It's basically full of wiffle balls, really, for the sake of conversation there, that are in there that it blows air in from the bottom to the water and strips the tank without VOC contamination out of the water. Now, these are the 3 high head pumps at Hendrick Street that push water from the clear well. There's 75,000 gallons of treated water in storage under the floor at the Hendrick Street treatment facility. And as the Peaceful Valley tank level drops, any one of these pumps will come on to push water out into the system and refill the Peaceful Valley tank as needed. We use chlorine gas for disinfection at Hendrick Street. And this is the Nonotuck well. A lot of people have probably seen these buildings in Nonotuck Park. So we have a natural gas power backup generator there, or I'm sorry, propane backup generator there. And power for the station comes in from Plaza Avenue. It's been somewhat of a problem for us over the years as it comes to an easement, and if a tree falls in that section, it can take the well right offline on us. And it can be somewhat of a challenge for the power company to get back on, as there's a kind of swamp back there.
It's all swamp back there.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah.
This is the Brook Street well, also located in Nonotuck Park. Built in, I believe, went online in 2003, and we run it generally in the mornings from about 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. just to exercise and we can get we supply between. Basically, if any one of the 3 main sources we use goes down, we can still supply the city with the other 2. But really, Brook Street will pretty much handle most of the demand on a normal day, if we needed it to. And here's the Maloney well at Lovefield Street, out of service. We can use it if need be. Very old pump in there. Like I said, it would require the installation of an iron manganese treatment system before we could start supplying the city with it again. Drury Lane storage tank, so we got 4 million gallons of water in there. We operate that tank right about 26 to 32 feet. That's up at the end of Loudville Road. Built in the late 1986, I believe, or late 1980s, I'd say. And then here's the Peaceful Valley storage tank up in Bird Road. We went online in 2002, and we operate that tank between 48 and 52 feet. So we have up on the side of Mount Tom, the Mount Tom storage reservoir was built in 1908. The city took it out of service in 2010 after there was multiple coliform bacteria hits from it leaking. And it's still there and needs to be properly abandoned. There's quite an expense involved in that tank being completely abandoned, filled in, and taken offline. We've shown in our hydraulic models of the water system that we don't need to have that tank there anymore. We don't need to store water there. We've got 6 million gallons in storage. For comparison, like Northampton keeps about 4 million gallons of water in storage. So it's something that people should be aware of. There's going to be a large expense involved in properly abandoning that. Just because of its location, it's pretty hard to access. What happened?
Not the last slide you were expecting?
No, it's not.
Have you had any trespassing issues at all with the abandoned tank at Mount Tom?
No, we haven't. We check it monthly and keep it locked. So that, we have to. We're lucky that we haven't. We need to deal with it something we've carried in the rate study in the IWRMP. Well, not so much in the IWRMP, but we did carry it in the rate study work that we've done over the past few months with time bond. So for some reason, that seems to be the end of what I have for water system. But that really does give a decent overview of what the public water system consists of and kind of what goes into operating it. So,
I think it also, like you said, the improvements shown in like the 90s and 2000s are why the water system's in a little better shape
Exactly.
than the wastewater treat side.
and the guys over there, they've really worked really hard to keep stuff.
I mean, I know the wastewater guys have been keeping everything
Absolutely,
going too, but
yeah.
there's been much less capital
Investment since the 70s.
Yes.
So
So we'll see that in the next
Yeah,
presentation, but I think that's reflected in the rate studies that the wastewater sewer side is the bulk of the capital.
yes, and you'll see that when I'll put a similar discussion piece together on the wastewater side of things and go over that with you guys for our next. I think we have planned the next public workshop for the second meeting in October.
Yeah. That was the one we were kind of thinking of inviting city council and mayor to.
Sure.
Do we want to do this, like a presentation like this in the next one with just the sewer side? And then,
That'd be a good idea.
and then for the mid-October one, we were thinking it might be one where the time bond comes in and does sort of like a mock presentation of what we're kind of looking at for the public hearing to get feedback on that.
I think that sounds like a good plan. I mean, for the next meeting, I'll have a wastewater and the wastewater treatment plant and sewer
Yeah.
collection system, just to kind of give people an overview of what's out there.
So then that way everybody has sort of the background information for the first like working workshop where
Sure.
we then say, this is the background and this is why we're seeking the capital funds and rates that we are considering.
Yep.
No, I think that's critical to,
Would you rather have a session with the mayor and her people first, so this way she knows what to expect and where we're going with this before we proceed, or do we just?
no, that's what the point of the mid-October one will be. This is what the board has developed over the past year.
Yep.
This is the tact we're taking to present to the public hearing in early 2023, and we have October, November to December to try and.
And we could, I can make this longer put the wastewater stuff in and have it as one quick, I could go through it maybe a little bit quicker.
I agree.
When we have a lot of the public there. And say,
Yeah.
Here's what's here and here's the investments we
Yep.
need to make. The slides I just showed of the water system, like you said, the stuff from the 90s, it's, they've done a great job of keeping it going. It's the stuff that's 20, 30 years older that, or where we're going to have the big larger investments.
Right, and the only reason we were able to retire the Mount Tom Reservoir in 2010 was because they had built
Yes.
one in the 80s and one in the early 2000s.
Yep.
I mean, if not, we would be addressing having to build water towers or water storage tanks for the
Yep.
water side.
Yep.
And I think what you did today and what you plan on doing is great, because this way, instead of going in the middle of the book, this way you're taking us from page 1 on.
Well, just trying to give a understanding of how it works. So we're kind of pulling some wastewater stuff together.
No, I think the approach and the level at which you're explaining it is good for the public, because most people don't know where the water comes from out of the tap and where it goes to when they flush. So, and how much in this day and age it costs to do both of those.
Yep.
So,
And we're pumping with the water use restrictions that we have to have in place. We're pumping about 600,000 to 700,000 gallons a day less than we should be, which means we're selling 600,000 to 700,000 gallons, 600,000 to 700,000 gallons a day less than we'd like to be selling. So we're kind of, it's a challenging business model to be in.
Is that because of the water restrictions that have been placed?
Because of the water use restrictions we have to have in. Yeah, we don't have we've gotten a lot of calls about them the last few days, especially since we've gotten some rain. We cannot do anything until the state does. The drought task force meets
Right.
tomorrow.
Right.
And then we'll see what they come out with for updated status, if anything. It may not update. Last meeting, I thought they might, and they kept the Connecticut River Valley at level 3, so.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any
Less water pumped, higher rates.
That's, well.
Like you said, it's the model.
It's a formula like we were talking about.
It's a business model that's not really sustainable without
No.
changes, so.
It's a joke.
Any further discussion on item 7 or anything we've spoken about this evening?
No.
All right. Well, with that, I would like to thank Greg for all you put into this
Thanks,
presentation,
No problem.
and I'll make a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting.
Second.
Thomas Salisbury,
Yes.
David Packard,
Yes.
Steve Ludwig,
Yes.
all in favor, motion carries. Next meeting is October 5th.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.